battery.
Have your attention, it's 7:30 p.m. This is Monday, February 2nd, 2015. This is the regular board meeting of the Village of Pulaski, held at 585 East Glenbrook Drive, Pulaski, Wisconsin. Could I have a roll call and pledge, please?
Roger Pulaski.
Present.
Robert Gajewski.
Here.
Doug Prentice.
Present.
Richard Stachowski. Robert Van Lannen.
Here.
Gerald Rickier.
Here.
And Reed Woodward.
Here.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Could I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So move.
By Roger, seconded by Gerald. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, to approve the minutes and dispense with the reading of the regular board meeting from January 5th, 2015, and the special board meeting from January 26th, 2015.
I'll make that motion.
By Bob Gajewski. Second by Doug. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 3, persons desiring to be heard. Persons desiring to be heard. Vernon has raised his hand. I'm not going to, if you do want to talk and it's about the bathrooms, I'm not going to spend a half an hour like they did the last meeting. You understand that?
I understand.
Okay.
It only took me a minute.
Good motion, open floor. Bob, second by Doug, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Floor is open.
Okay, I attended your meeting, the whole meeting, on the 19th of January.
Yes.
And I was under the impression that I would get an answer at this meeting what board was going to do regarding the restrooms, whether you were going to move on with it or not.
There are several board members that are trying to figure out a way that we can get this done with some more help from the public. And a lot of the board members want that to happen, but, you know, they understand that we probably need some more participation from the public to be able to make it happen. And that's just, this has not been meetings, it's been discussions one-on-one. And, you know, it hasn't been a formal, all right, let's go and take some money from this spot and take some money from this spot and take money, that hasn't happened yet. But I think there's enough energy on the board, let's just get this done and get it done right. So, you know, it took you 12 years to get the building built, and you built it without bathrooms,
Yeah.
all right? And I remember that there were promises that the bathrooms wouldn't be a problem, raising the money for them. Well, you raised money, but apparently not enough. And that's where we're at today.
Okay. And I'll have to make a decision what I want to do with.
Fine, it's your decision.
One question I got, if I make a decision, can I go ahead and enclose the building inside, insulate it, put paneling in it, or woodwork, or whatever? You know, that's,
Well,
and maybe with the money, maybe I can put the heating in with it, or raise the money for that. As far as you raise money for the restrooms, I'm not gonna try that route to go, so.
okay. You raised the money, I guess, with
Yeah.
the board.
I think you've seen, you had a report on enclosing that before, what was gonna be done with it, and that's the route I would probably go. That's what I had got that quote from, to enclose that, insulate it, and put wallboard and everything on it. Put the ceiling in, and dropping the lights down, and probably adding heating to it, too.
in going to other parks and other communities, almost every park has either a couple shelters, large ones and small ones, but almost all of them are basically meant to be able to be used from basically April till the end of October. None of them are really built for year-round use. The common theme is that all of them do have bathrooms, and that's why they get used.
That's why, priority was for the restroom.
Right.
Bernie, may I ask you this, the money that you have accumulated, does the KCs have control over that money, or do you as a group with someone, or how is the decisions made on your end?
They wanted nothing more for us to do with it, and there was money that was supposed to come from the last state fried to the restrooms, which they didn't do, and the only thing I was told that I could go on KC's to raise the balance of the money, so. And
You've been working with Pulaski United since
since then, yes.
then.
Okay.
And they agreed to take the money into a checking account and holding it for them.
Okay. I would suggest, Vernon, if you would be patient, and it would be more practical to stick that money in for bathrooms, and hopefully down the road, the village can help you in some way. Of course, we can't make no guarantees right now, but that would be more feasible, I think, to go that route versus insulation and paneling and what have you, and enclosing it. At least it would be utilized 3/4 of the year that way. That's just my opinion, but I certainly would support that avenue if you would go that way. So.
I would just like to say, I guess, that me personally, I would be willing to vote for the village putting in $25,000 towards the bathrooms. I would vote for that if the case, or whoever, could come up with the balance of money for the bathrooms.
The village put it in, or what?
Well, I would vote for the village to, I mean, I don't know where we find that money right now, but
Yeah, okay.
I would say we will find it somewhere.
The only thing is, $25,000 is in the...
That's right, but at least that gives some specificity to this whole thing, that here's what we'll do, or, I mean, if other people would vote that way, I don't know. But here's what we could do, and here it gives you a target. I agree that it's not enough to do it, but that's where we stand.
See, that's the whole thing, if we can work together on it, you can go 50-50 or something on the cost, or something. That gives me something to go out and try to raise some money for it. This way, for me to go out and to businesses or individuals and ask them for a donation for it, and all I get is, what's the village gonna do?
Well, keep in mind that no matter what, it has to be bid as a public project. It's obviously going to exceed $25,000. So we cannot avoid the state statutes and the statutory, mandatory hourly wages that entail and all of that. But there are some things we can do to help defray the cost, like we could do probably we could do the cutting of the concrete that would be necessary and that kind of stuff, which is very labor intensive.
See, if there's some of it that the village got the building, they can close part of it, and then the village would come and...
Yeah, we've got to be very careful not to cross a line.
Yeah, I know that, we can go that route, and...
Because every project we've done, we've had inspectors come and
Oh, yeah.
examine all of our document and all of our wage things and everything, so we are not immune from extreme oversight.
Over probably a year ago, I had quote just to enclose it, and go
Yeah,
from
and that was
there.
about 30 grand, right?
Yeah. And then, probably once it's enclosed, maybe I can go and they see that part done, you know, people will be more willing to donate to it. See, I can see what it would cost me to get it enclosed, and if we can go that route, and then maybe I can, you know, try and generate some donations or something from businesses to.
So you're saying enclose the bathroom area, I mean,
Yeah.
the structure of the
Yeah,
bathroom
yeah,
area.
and then there'd be just the inside to finish it, more like I think it was without the interior walls finished, and that, so.
Okay, thank you, Vernon.
Yeah.
Motion to close the floor.
So move.
By Roger.
Second.
Second by Bob Pulaski. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. For third time, persons desiring to be heard. There being none, number 5, committee reports, committee of the whole, January 19th. Item number 8, consider to approve payment request number 7. This is the final for Dorner Incorporated in the amount of $17,761.28. Contract 295-13-3-2013 utility and street reconstruction phase 2
Make that motion?
by Doug,
Second.
by Bob Gasky. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. B, to consider to invoice the town of Chase for the amount of $5,362.37 as per the letter received from Robert E. Lee and Associates dated January 14, 2015, East Pulaski reconstruction. The town of Chase portion, that'd be the north side of the road, 170 feet. That was approved by the Chase before we began the project because it actually saves them money.
I'll make that motion.
By Doug,
Second.
seconded by Bob Van Lannen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item number C, to consider to schedule a public hearing for the March 2nd, 2014 regular village board meeting to modify the sump pump ordinance and discharge regulations, and the change would basically ban sump pump discharge onto the streets year-round, but will give the Director of Public Works an ability to issue a permit when there is no storm sewer laterals available. Does that make sense, Bill?
Correct. I'll make that motion.
By Bob Van Lannen?
I have a question.
Roger has a question.
And this will be written up where the Public Works Department, meaning Tom Holloway's this personnel, will have the say-so in regards to who can and who cannot.
Right.
And they will determine if a person is violating that ordinance.
Usually, the caveat is if you have no storm sewer to run it to, you know, the only thing you're doing is recirculating water, like I do. And on 4th Avenue, there are no storm sewers within a reasonable distance. The whole street? The entire street does not have it.
It also, the way it's designed, it's got the flexibility where it, talks about the ability to, if you're not pumping directly into the storm sewer, you can pump into your side yard or your backyard. But let's say we get a spring or a fall with heavy rains and people's backyards are already flooded, you could get a temporary permit from the Public Works Director to pump to the street because of the inability to pump to your side yard or your backyard.
Right, that's what I wanted to clarify, that for individuals recycling the water that they're continuously having this problem when it's raining, obviously, they'll be able to have that discharged
It's kind of slowed down for me because it's been such a cold winter. I'm doing about every 11 seconds now.
The other thing that this has is that if for some reason or other the Public Works Director would deny the application for a permit, they do have the right to appeal that decision to the board. So it's, there's an opportunity to appeal if they think they have a basis to do that.
Okay. Now everybody know how I stand on this issue. We need a second on that motion.
Second.
Roger, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I didn't oppose.
And read on little humor added to this. I drove down 4th Avenue here yesterday, and when did the village put in the speed bumps in the road?
It took them about 30 years to get them done, but
Calms the
I know, I'm also not afraid to point out, and I encourage anybody that lives in this community to go down 4th Avenue. If you got a decent vehicle, don't go very fast.
Is it the same as Chicago Street?
Worse.
Oak Brook is not very good either.
Oh, brother.
You know, unfortunately, a lot of the streets are in the worst condition, aren't very long, like mine's a dead end. And how do you get that up on the top of the priority list when it's a dead end? Chicago is only 3 blocks long. I mean, and they're the ones that just keep getting ignored, and my street's been ignored. I bought my house 30 years ago, the road was bad then. So, okay, I'm moving on. Reads off of the soapbox. Item D, to consider to schedule a public hearing for March 2nd, 2015 regular board meeting for proposed revision to section 44.06, the noise ordinance, and these changes are actually predicated by changes in state law and guidelines.
Yes, they are more designed to, we have a bit of a conflict in our current ordinance in terms of how the unreasonable, or how the noise was to be judged, whether it's too loud or too obnoxious or whatever. And to get around that, we've switched the ordinance to use what's known as a reasonable man standard. So you don't have to be, across the street to be able to hear it. So if you're in a hallway in one of the apartment buildings and you can hear it, thumping from the roof above or the room below or whatever, that could be considered a noise violation. So it uses a reasonable man standard rather than a distance. Although in determining what's reasonable, it does include distance. I mean, if you're, in the next room and somebody's talking loud, well, you may not like what they're saying, but that's not a noise violation. It also updated, based on a couple of recent cases within the last 4 or 5 years, the ability to get special permits. There was a provision in the ordinance that allowed the village board to grant a permit for special things like polka days. But there may be other things where somebody wants to have a noise permit. In there, we put in for your consideration, it came out of another case, that they could go to the police chief to get a permit, temporary permit for whatever, some party or picnic or a party or something like that. And again, just as with the sump pump ordinance, if the police chief denied that, they could appeal it to the village board. So it puts another step in the process for somebody to get a permit other than a community-wide event type of thing. If somebody wants an outdoor entertainment permit, they still have to come to the board. But if it's something, and I can't even think of what it would be, that they have a permit, they could go to the police chief first to get a temporary noise permit for a limited period of time.
Any other questions, Bill? I need the motion in a second, please.
Move.
By Doug,
Second?
second by Bob Gasky. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Item number E, to consider to approve and adopt resolution 1127-15, a resolution authorizing the supervision of village employees by the village president. And then take care to notice that this means non-represented employees. Union members would be exempt from direct supervision.
I'll make that motion.
And Doug,
Second.
second by Bob Van Lannen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. NEW Paramedic Rescue, January 26, 2015. I'll turn it over to Bob Van Lannen. And
Okay, we had a meeting on January 26th. Now, I may be jumping around a little because this was at the end of the year meeting. But for November, they had 49 calls. 49. But for December, nobody knows what happened. We had 56 calls in December. Now, for the year, we ended up with 488 calls compared to 471 a year ago. So we had 17 more calls in 14 than they had in 13. The average monthly call was 41 per month. Here's some numbers. I don't know. The no transport for, when you listen to finance, you'll realize there's 130 no transports, 114 no charges of them calls. The transports was 73.4, no transports 26.6, billable 76.6, and no charge 23.4. There's a little numbers page, right? Let's see, the village, we had 24 for the month of December. The village ended up with 218 calls for the year, which was 45% of the calls that we had. Let me miss the page here. Here was one nobody realized and figured out. In December, they had 16 calls for Bellin. It was outrageous, so why 16 for Bellin, 9 for Aurora? They beat all the other hospitals. For some odd reason, they went to Bellin and Aurora.
Bellin, I think, is because of the mental health, but the Aurora, I don't know.
They didn't know. So that was pretty much the call deal. So then we went into the finances. And it wasn't as bad as what we thought it was going to be, but we ended up for the year with $7,150.32 to the good. So it breaks it down, there's 13,249 residents in the 6 townships. I didn't break it down, I didn't figure it out, but I gave Julie Pulaski's for $1,903.47. That's our portion that we got back from them. So it comes to probably about 55 cents per person. Now, we did something different this year, and you guys are gonna have to think about it. Other years, Maple Grove gave all their, they got, Maple Grove got $521 this year. And other years, they always gave back what they got. This year, because they gave the $2,000 for the ambulance in December, they decided that they're just gonna give this $500 back now. So nobody's gonna give anything back. Now the problem comes in, we spent all our money that we had for the new ambulance. Do they want NEW to start a new vehicle account, or does the communities want to start their own account? There's nothing can happen in 215, we know that. It's something they have to think about. They said the fire department has a vehicle account.
Yes, the fire department, they haven't purchased a vehicle for probably close to 10 years. But this coming year, in 2015, they're gonna order one.
But they said it's about 5 years before we'll need one, so you can figure 5 years is gonna be over $100,000.
Right.
Now, Town and Chase, they were smarter than the rest of us. They saved all their money that they got. They got over $19,000 in their fund from just the refunds from since NEW has been in operation. So the village of Pulaski would have had pretty close to 30 if we'd have wouldn't have spent it, but we did, we spent it. So, that's one thing so that's what we got back on it.
Well, you know, that's something that we can chew on. There is no reason why we couldn't set up a vehicle fund and earmark any rebates, just like Chase did.
Yeah. Well, if the board of directors decide that they're gonna bill, then the other townships, then we'll have to go with it, because it's the lowest majority vote on it, so whichever way. So, then that meeting Monday, they had to do a check to Gold Cross for $107,084.50. $107,000 was jam, $84.50 was registration, all that crap. There'll be another bill coming for $2,500 for the painting and stuff. On Friday, they took this one away. So if you see a Gold Cross ambulance, because ours is in Appleton, they're taking the ambulance, everything out of it, changing it all over. And it should be back here, they figure, like Wednesday this week. Now, the old ambulance, Gold Cross sold some to a guy in California, they called him, he's interested in it. They told him a price of $9,800. When it's all ready that he can drive it back, then you have to call him. He's gonna fly here, and if they can agree on the price, then he'll drive it back. But they don't know if he'll give him $9,800, but that's what they quoted him. And the last thing, I don't know, I hope the guy, good luck, but I don't know. It'll be something from Mark and all them. This new paramedic that's in charge here, he went to, I think it was Greenleaf, had this, mock bus accident this past week, and he wants to see if he can get one here. He says first he'd have to get the school. He said he'd have to get the fire department. He said that's going to be hard because all these guys work during the day, so when can you have it? You know, because they're working, well, they can't get off from work to go for mock training.
Well, we had the real thing.
Yeah, we had 2 accidents this year. And he says, he can be dealing with 5 different law enforcement agencies. He said Brown, Shawano, Village, and the state. He says, so you got 5 different law enforcement agencies you could deal with too in these accident scenes. So how are you going to get these all together?
See, last time they had one in the evening.
Well, you don't know when you can even get it, if you can get.
Well, there's a lot of stuff on the table right now. There's a couple things going on. Before they jump into all this with both feet, they have to understand that they want to make this video like the every 10 minutes type of a thing. It's called something else now. And just in order to get that into place, it's going to take over a year of pre-planning to just do that video for the school for the prom. Now, if you're talking about a mock disaster type of a thing and you're looking at a large scale and you're going to do it for like a school shooting or something like that, this isn't something that can happen overnight. It's going to take a lot of pre-planning.
He says it's going to be a lot of work to
A
get.
year and a half out before you can even think of something like that.
And he's going to talk to him to try and get this all organized. He says it's going to take a while to get it organized.
Very big, that's a very, very big thing.
But he says they have nothing in place, he says. NW has nothing in place for procedures when they go. And he wants to get something down so he knows where to start. So we had a pretty long discussion. He was working with the school. I don't understand that. He's working with, what's her name at the school?
The counselors?
No, for Pulaski, Kimberly. And he wanted to get some program where they go there, and I didn't understand it all. For the prom, before the prom and before graduation, to get there to talk to the kids about the drinking and drugs, so they don't have to go at an accident scene and see that, kind of give them a scare.
So this every 10 minutes thing is, we're already.
That's what they're working on now?
It's a community that's started on, but it's very, very, it's time consuming and it's gonna take, it will not happen this year, starting now.
No, he said that.
And we're talking about next year getting this up off the ground. And this is all about a mock disaster. This is just a.
Well, this is a real thing he wants to get.
You make a video on a real thing, yes. And I understand what they're doing, but what I'm saying is it's gonna take a real lot of time and pre-planning to get this to take place.
But he's really put in time and stuff, because he says, it is heartbreaking, he says, to go to somebody's house and tells a parent that their kid or something was overdosed or alcohol drugs, you know.
We've already had one meeting on it.
With him or?
Yes, with NEW was there, the police department's there, the sheriff's department's gonna be part of this, you got the hospitals that could be part of this.
Well, he said you gotta have them all.
It's a huge thing.
The Stephen, was that his name that was there?
No,
Oh, maybe one of the,
representatives that represent Old Cross at the meeting.
because he wants to get really involved with it, so he says but he says he don't know how it's gonna work.
Let's do that first before we plan a mock disaster.
You better get to talk to him, because he wants to plan everything out, he wants everything down, he
He's
said.
gotta understand that we're dealing with 3 counties, not 1.
Yeah, that's what he says, you got different counties, different law enforcement, he says that's where.
Yeah.
And he says, he understood there was a little mix-up when the one was out here between the counties. But,
That's a resource thing where you really got to, it's gonna take years to figure that out. It's not something you're gonna jump into
No.
as a new person.
but he says, the fire department is one of the main things, because they're treating the people, they don't have time to call the hospital and different ambulances and this and that, they have to, but he says he wants to get this started, but good luck, that's what we told him. That's about all we had.
Okay, well, thank you for all your hard work, and I appreciate, we'll probably put that on the call meeting, whether we want to, any rebates that we do get, we earmark them.
Oh, yeah, whatever we wanna do.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Bob. The fire department board of directors, January 27th, 2015. The status report, I think, was included in the packet. But the major note is the interim fire chief, Randy Viloch, has a fairly substantial medical issue and is currently on an 8-week medical leave of absence. And Richard Stachinski, James Stachinski is acting as the interim chief until, the future becomes clearer as to how long Randy Viva should be incapacitated. And those decisions will be made probably in about 7 more weeks. Item number 6, to consider approve payment request of Robert E. Associates Incorporated, invoice 68750, miscellaneous, in the amount of $731.38. Invoice 68751, wetland delineation and fill permit, MCL Properties, in the amount of $558. Invoice 68752, North Wisconsin, reconstruction, design and construction, the amount of $516.
Make a motion
Motion by Doug to pay all the invoices as listed. Second by Roger. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried.
Rita has one question on this, on the wetland delineation. The MCL property, is that a TIF district?
Yes.
And would that be paid then
It
by
can,
the TIF?
that's TIF eligible, and the reason we were involved in that is we sold them the land, and then the DNR said that, oh, you can't do anything, there's wetlands. And so we had to get a legal standing and a plan that could be approved by the DNR, and basically using the plan that Robert E. Lee developed, they can begin agriculturally using the land and reclaim the wetland over a course of a few years. And we need, an unbelievable amount of permitting to get this done. So, that's why we were involved. We sold them the land and they can't use it. So, it took almost a year to get an answer from all the people that was necessary. Is that right, Paul?
Yeah, because it's the DNR and Army Corps.
Yeah. And then we finally had to figure out who was the state's representative for the manufacturing assessment because it's not on the tax roll in a regular manner because it's taxed by the state. It was really quite a it wasn't fun. So, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions? If not, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Number 7, consider approved payment request invoice 10115 Gold Cross Ambulance Service Incorporated in the amount of $14,278.36. That's the subsidy requirement for January, February, and March of 2015, first quarter. Motion by Gerald. Second by Bob Diasky. All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Item number 8, approved operator bartender license application ending in June 30th of 2016.
Make 3 new.
3 new. Okay. We have a Rick J. Nikolai. He did the certificate online, and
They all need to be,
and they all need the
Police department.
approval of the police department. So, this one is also new. Amy Dawson. She completed the beverage server training in 2003, and she'll be new from Pulaski Shell. And Lydia Pulaski?
Without W.
Yeah, without the W, that's why she has completed the beverage server, and again, they still need approval from the chief. So I have a motion to approve all 3 pending approval by the police department.
I'll make that
By
motion.
Bob Diasky. Second by Van Lannen. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Item number 8, such other matters as authorized by law.
I see we got Mike Diener here, is he gonna,
I'm just here, if you have any questions of me, your assessment. Karen and I talked today about our annual board review, and to set a date, and we both agreed to wait until after the spring election, and we'll set a date with the members of the board. But other than that, if you have any,
I just gonna ask you a question, out at the Renewed Cards Building, is that on the tax roll, or is that just an empty lot now for it?
empty lot,
It's an empty lot
empty
for
lot for
for
this.
2015?
Correct. The value was diminished over the last couple of years anyway, obviously it was losing value the longer it stood. And now for 2015, it'll be a vacant lot.
And 2016 will be tax-free probably too, because the building won't be on there for,
Everything's always valued as of January 1. So whatever the status is of any building as of the first of the year, if it's a new home that's under construction and it's framed, we have a worksheet we go off of a % complete, and that's the same with any other, whether it's commercial or residential, whatever is there in January 1 is what they get taxed on or valued on, and taxes is levied for the tax bill in December. So that would be the case here. So December's tax bill will be for a vacant lot.
Okay, I'm glad you're here tonight because at the special board meeting last week, the village approved the resolution to commence creating TIF District Number 4, which will comprise basically the 56 acres that were recently annexed. And they're working already. We expect them to request a building permit for a hotel, probably within the next 10 days. The only thing they're waiting on is the commercial appraisal approval by the bank, and it's a close. And we directed, Robert E. Lee is going, and associates are going to help manage the creation and the establishment of the district. And they've been directed to work very closely with you and Brad Frank, our auditor, that we have a good, honest base value as we start the district, so.
And you want that TID district established prior to any building, so you have increment created
Right,
in that TID. That's critical.
right.
But yeah, that'd be fine.
Thank you.
Sure, you're welcome.
Jared?
In that packet, we got that one letter. Is there anything you should talk about, or wait for the comment?
That letter was approved at the last week's special board meeting.
This one here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was the letter of intent.
Yeah,
Everybody got copies signed.
This is where it had to go. Now you know where it had to go, the co-manage.
And on the same note, this is probably about the third a copy of the description of what's
Right.
happening here.
Right.
Is this the final one?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. So, I'm gonna just go to page, would be the third page. Personal guarantees is that, it's deemed personal guarantees, the developers, principal members shall execute and deliver to the village personal guarantees in the matter made and provide in the developer's agreement. Is this saying that in the event if it would go bankrupt, that the village would still get their tax?
The developers have to make up the difference.
Does that describe it the best way? It's
Well,
always else in
it's
this.
not bankrupt, I mean, they could, but I mean, if for some reason or other, the property doesn't generate the tax revenue that it's supposed to, the tax revenue is not paid, then the developers are personally guaranteeing it, because it's being developed by a LLC.
The developer and the investors.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Then there was, on C here, on page 2C, where it states get 75% of the hotel structure to be located and constructed, where the payment thereof shall be made to your institution on behalf of the developer. Is the village going to get from, I can't think of, the one that's developing our TIF?
Brad Frank?
No, not Brad Frank, but the...
Robert Ely?
Robert Ely.
Yes.
Sorry.
All of that-
Are they going to,
By state law, we have to have developers' agreement in place before any funds can be distributed.
okay, and as those funds are distributed, are they going to monitor the process or
Yes.
everything's being done to spec?
Right. Everything has to go through them first, then it goes to the auditor and to Bill, and Mike Diener is involved to make sure that the values that they state are good, they're going to create are reasonable for,
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was concerned about. So Jerry and I won't have to monitor this at all.
oh, you're welcome to watch. I encourage you to watch all of this.
You want to drive or want to ride? Thank you, I appreciate clarifying this.
Literally, by the time they're done, there's going to be a stack of paper, this and that. So,
And with this development agreement that's attached to this letter of intent, that's just a draft copy, because that's subject to, some of the things could change
Right,
before it's
and,
adopted.
we can't sign that until the TIF district's been created.
right. And that's why we're going to have a sense of urgency to have a base value determined as soon as we can in a reasonable fashion. And we want to plan this for success. And any other questions? I was involved in the very first TIF district, where Colonial Court and all the Karch apartments were part of that TIF, and we'd never done it. And, I remember Seeger Swanson, was that his name?
Yes.
From Ehlers and Associates. I never saw a guy in a $2,000 suit before. He was a real sharp guy, he knew what he was doing, but he cost an awful lot of money. But we did it all by bonds, and we did something the village would never have been able to do without the right kind of guidance. And look at what that created. It was wildly successful, so I look for this to be just like that. So, any other questions on this matter? If not, I'll say such other matters is authorized by law a second time. Such other matters is authorized by law. Before we go to the department reports, we've been approached by the town of Pittsfield that we consider recreating a joint court, and they're willing to sit at the table and accept up front the responsibilities to take care of the legal fees that are incurred in their matters. And with that promise and the fact that they also understand that we don't want somebody from outside of Pulaski running the Pulaski court. With those two yeses, we will sit back at the table later this month and see if we can work out an agreement that would be, well, it's going to have three things in it. The community has to pay their own legal fees, not the village of Pulaski. They have to accept that the judge for the Pulaski Village Court is going to have to be a village resident. And number three, the agreement has a vehicle for modification when we encounter, well, we got to look at this and straighten this out. The previous agreement didn't have that vehicle. So with those caveats, we're going to sit down and see if we can work out something that will work best for the communities, because we are surrounded by townships that are basically in the same boat, and it takes a long time to create a court and get a court running efficiently. And so, yeah, there's a lot of joint courts in our area with judge presiding over like 6 different jurisdictions. They all, in many cases, they only hear 1 or 2 cases a year. When you've got a problem, you got a problem, and you can't always take it to state court. So, with that, the judge and Mark and Bill and I will sit with Pittsfield sometime in the middle of February, see if we can work something out that's amenable and agreeable to all, and it'll be presented to you for consideration at a future meeting. And the judge is putting his finger up.
And just to mention that the Pittsfield attorney will also be at the meeting, so we will be all together. There'll be approximately 8 of us that will be involved in it. Again, Keith had called up, we had set the meeting up for the 16th. If it's okay to mention the date, it's on the 16th of next week. It's on a Tuesday. It's a week after, I'm pretty sure. 16th of March at 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
In March or February?
February.
Okay. Thanks, Judge.
Rita, do you foresee any other townships proceed with...
Chase has approached us several times in the past, and the answer was, until you have all your ordinances codified, it doesn't make any sense to even consider it. Is that a right answer, though?
Yes.
Okay, with that, we're gonna move on to department reports, Public Works.
Just to keep reminding people to shovel their sidewalks. We've been going around, and the last snowstorm, we gave out 22 notices and ended up doing 5 of them a day later, so we did that a couple of times, and it seems about the same number. There's like 24 people that don't do it, and we've been cleaning them and putting them on their tax bill. So just to remind them when the snows, clean them.
Well, if you remember, when they go on the tax bills, that's when they come to you and they want us forgiveness. Traditionally, we've learned that it's not good to forgive.
And that's all I have for today.
Tom, is the issue that when there's only like an inch and a half, they don't, or an inch or whatever, they don't feel like they have to do it? Is that?
That's more of an issue, but there's people that when it's 3-4 inches, they just don't shovel. So, but yeah, with the lighter snow is always, seems to be more of an issue. They hope the sun's gonna melt it.
Are these people that are not capable of shoveling or
They're capable.
capable?
The ones that you don't think are the first ones out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Or you're saying if I'm not capable, you can come and shovel for me?
Okay, thank you, Tom. Sewer and water, Tom?
Really have nothing tonight other than we're going to be doing some digging and exploring. We think we possibly have a joint leak in the Falcon Drive area. We've been getting some complaints for quite a while now, and it's very hard to determine because it's not showing up visibly. And we're getting complaints from excessive sump pump operations and extra pumpage and quite frequent. But it's been very difficult to try and pinpoint the problem because of the amount of moisture we've had in the last year and a half. So if you see us digging there, that's why we're digging it up and actually going to be hydrovacing down to the fittings to determine if there is a problem or not, or if we're just that saturated with groundwater. That's all I have.
Police Department, Mark?
The other thing I got is I had a lot of calls on the 20th, we had an incident with a non-compliant individual that is shy of a standoff is what it was, but decided to comply at the end prior to the implementation of a SWAT call that generated a lot of publicity, and it was just basically something that could have been prevented with somebody becoming compliant, but they chose a different avenue, and we had to react according to the threat level, and that's what it was. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Thank you. We got Mark's first police report for January. And as you can see, the department's been pretty active.
Yeah, 191 calls in the last month.
Thank you, Mark. Administration, Barry? I got a letter from Steve Johnson, the administrator from the Village of Wrightstown. Their representative on the Brown County Planning Commission was Paul Brewer, and he's asked to be relieved of his responsibilities. So at your next meeting, you're going to have to approve their recommendation to replace him with a sitting trustee from the Village of Wrightstown. His name is Terry Schable? That's how I would say.
Yeah.
So that'll be on the agenda. So the representative that the Village of Pulaski, the Village of Denmark, and the Village of Wrightstown, they provide 2 seats for the 3 communities, and they all have to approve that representative. So that'll be something you're going to have to do with the March board meetings, their list, okay. And anything else, Karen?
Did you want to discuss this at all, or no? Privately with Bill?
We have to straighten out the zoning for the parcel VPI-120, which is where the motel is going to be. We have to complete the zoning process. So the,
The developers will need to file a petition to have it rezoned.
okay,
It's a pretty simple process, but they have to file it.
okay.
I have one question about that, and that's, the rest of that is zoned agricultural.
It stays that way until there's a specific zoning request.
Okay, and what I was worried about was, when Al Moore was talking, he was talking about, well, maybe already very soon, they might make some spec homes, and would that be in the agricultural?
No, that
section?
has to be zoned before they can build anything.
Right. And that's what's going on with the hotel property now. It came into the village, it was ag when it was annexed, and it stayed ag when it came in. And now, before they can actually start the development, they need to petition to have it rezoned for its intended use. So they're aware of it, and it's just one of the things that they have to do to get this moving forward.
And I think it was in August, zoning board, they recommended that when the permit is issued, that they would recommend that that be zoned B2 highway, that 4-acre parcel. So the preliminary work has been done.
Does that zoning change need to take place before a building permit can be issued?
Well, that's why we did it when we did, because it's already recommended to the board that that be approved.
Okay.
We got the cart before the horse and before the application. But nobody expected it to take this long for all these pieces of the puzzle to fall together either. Am I correct?
Correct.
So we will be getting that zoning request very soon, and when we get that request, we will engage the closure of that process. It will require another class 1 notice, right, Karen? So. Jody? Anything else, Karen? Okay. We need to schedule a call meeting for February, and in light of the March board meeting being on the second day of the month, I would think that it would be appreciated if we could have the call meeting in the week of the 16th, either the 16th or the 17th.
16th works great.
Let's do it on 17th. Because then we got that meeting with the Pittsfield deal, we can talk
Yeah.
about that.
But that's at 3.
On Monday.
Yeah.
Let's do it on Tuesday. Monday night's okay.
Either one.
Well, you wouldn't know much anyway, because you can talk about it now, or whatever.
You know, we're going to have 2 lawyers at that table, so I don't want a 4-hour meeting.
Bill didn't hear that.
I have 5 hours blocked up on my calendar.
We'll make it through supper.
I think, we can handle two meetings in one day, or 2 meetings in 2 days. It's either one is fine with me.
Do you have any objections, like of the 17th?
Yeah, poor little guy's got wrestling practice.
Oh, yeah.
How old is he?
4.
Oh my
Started him young in the Friends family.
My grandson's 5 and he's playing hockey already.
Is it Monday then, the 16th?
6:30? Is that acceptable?
Going once, going twice.
Good.
Sold.
And I got a notice, email today that the Economic Development Ad Hoc Committee for the 23rd has been canceled.
Yeah,
We probably won't hold a meeting until March.
March 16th at noon at Premier Community Bank. It has been confirmed.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Doug. The drawing of names for the ballot placement for the village trustee for the April 7th, 2015 spring election was held on Wednesday, November 7th at 10 a.m. at the Pulaski Village Hall. And the names were drawn in this order. Number 1, Chris Smith. Number 2, Robert Kessler. Number 3, Robert Pulaski. And number 4, Gerald Bakarish. And that's the way they will appear on the ballot for the spring election. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Joe.
Second.
By Doug. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all. Yeah, 8:31.